I do feel like I am one of the beings that have been put on this earth to assist in the paradigm shift that is occurring on the planet at this
One
time.
moment, let me stop you right there.
Mm-hmm.
The way you frame that disempowers you. You have decided to be here to participate. You were not put here. Do you understand?
Yes. Oh my God.
You decided to do this.
Yes.
Don't remove yourself from your own self-empowerment and the decisions you have made to be of service at this time.
Yes, thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry if I start to cry. It's just so true.
Oh, there's nothing to apologize for whatsoever. You are releasing through your tears belief systems that no longer work for you. Remember that when you hold on to a belief or have a particular perspective or definition of something that may be out of alignment with you, it creates a constituent within your body that is chemically oriented. And when you let go of that belief, you have to wash the chemical constituent out of your body, which most often happens through the idea of tears. So tears very often are the releasing of the chemical component of beliefs that you're letting go of.
Okay, amazing. So yes, let me already rephrase that. I put myself on the earth at this time to assist with this amazing paradigm shift that is occurring on the earth at this time. And so I want to do this by way of like making videos and putting myself out there and allowing, people
that is your expression of your passion, that is your expression of your passion, then by all means act on it, again with no insistence or assumption of the outcome.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Is there something holding you back from doing that?
There was in the past, actually. So funny you bring this up. My family, they were Jehovah's Witnesses, and they were. And I actually have someone in the household that is still a Jehovah's Witness. So if they were to witness any of this happening, I would get kicked out of the house. Yeah.
Well, is there something wrong with that?
Getting kicked out. Well, in my egoic mind, it's like, oh my gosh, that can't happen. Where am I going to go? These kinds of things.
Well, I guess you'll find out. I'm not saying you have to share the idea with someone who you know is not vibrationally interested or compatible with your ideas. That's fine. But we would encourage you to pay attention to whether that is actually placing a limitation and a restriction on yourself for being able to do what you know you need to do as you. So don't take responsibility for someone else's reaction. I'm not saying you have to do things intentionally to hurt them. But the idea is that you're not responsible for their choice of reaction to something that is really your truth. And you're also, in some sense, then, shall we say, depriving them or preventing them from actually knowing who you are. So even though they may react in a negative way, you have to decide whether it's appropriate or not to actually be who you are in their presence. And if you find that you're not being who you are out of a fear-based idea, then you're not being who you are anyway.
Okay. Yes, definitely. Well, either way, yes, I do still want to share this. It's going to be out there for them to see. And if they see it, well,
then they see it.
I'll just have to see. Yeah, I'll just have to see what happens. But
yes, but whatever it is that happens, you have to stay in your center to know what is your truth while still allowing them to have what they believe to be their truth. And you don't have to dive into or be engulfed by the idea of conflict, because you know that synchronicity will give you what you need and that you'll be just fine and that you can have compassion toward them, recognizing that they're going through their own process of understanding what is true and not true for them, even though they may be resistant to finding that out, even though they may not have been brought up to understand the tools that they need in order to do that. At least you're giving them the option to choose something else by letting them know there is another path, but they don't have to choose it. Nevertheless, at the same time, you at least get to be you.
yes,
So put it out there, see what happens.
I will. I definitely will. I definitely feel like this is something I need to do. I have actually I haven't really lived my life for myself. It's really only recently that I've
Do
discovered
remember this, very important. If you have a gift to give, there is someone waiting to receive it, or you wouldn't be excited about giving it because that would be pointless. So that means the longer you take, not blaming you, it's not a negative, just explaining to you the idea. The longer you take to give those gifts, the longer you make someone waiting to receive them wait. Do you understand?
Yes, let's not. I won't make him wait anymore. I'll
All
definitely
right,
get
all
on.
right, all right.
But my question for that was actually like, how do I reach like people with my information? How can I go about helping them change their lives, like with these
No, no,
videos?
no. You go about sharing the information in whatever way you can, putting it out there in whatever way is correct for you. What they choose to do or not do with it is none of your business, because you don't know how it will affect them. You don't know what they do and don't need to get from you. They will decide whether or not to change their lives. That's not your decision to make. All you can do is provide them the option to change their lives, the opportunity to change their lives in ways that might be more beneficial for them. You have absolutely no business assuming that they have to pay attention to you. You will reach the audience you need to reach. You will not reach the audience you don't need to reach. So why worry about it? Just be yourself and know for a fact that whether you ever know how you're doing it, someone is benefiting from what it is you gave. You may never know who is benefiting or how they're benefiting, but you will be giving them the option instead of depriving them of the option, and just keep doing what you do, knowing that you're benefiting someone. That's all you need to know. Whatever someone does with it is not your business.
I understand. Yes.
All right.
So much yes to that. So much shadow work I probably need to do with this too.
And that's fine, because that's the point also of your journey, is to know yourself, to really dig down and find out what belief systems don't work for you. Remember, there's no absolute right or wrong way. You're an infinite, eternal being. There's no hurry. Just do what it is that seems correct for you at the moment. Learn from whatever happens from the result of those actions or choices, and then decide again whether you want to continue in the same direction or whether you want to change your belief about something. It's up to you. This is the greatest power you all have, the freedom to choose. There's no contradiction coming from creation itself. The idea is that you are given that free will to make a choice so that you can be the unique individual that you really actually are, as a reflection of the infinite of all that is.
Yes, I feel like that's been a really big lesson in my life, to be honest. Thank you so much for your time.
You are welcome. Good day.
Likewise.
What kind of theme you will be exploring. And the theme is generally the person that you are. The challenges that come up are representative of the theme that the personality you've created yourself to be needs to explore. So that theme can seem like destiny, because you can't necessarily change that until you finish that theme, but you have free will within that destiny, within that theme. As we have often used the analogy of a hallway, saying that from a spirit level, a higher level, you have chosen a particular hallway that you will walk down. That's your theme. That's your path. That's who you are. Being who you are in this life experience is the theme, is the destiny. But how you are who you are is up to your free will. Again, going back to the hallway analogy, you will walk down the hallway. That's your destiny. You made that choice from the free will of a higher level. But within the hallway, you are completely free to decide how you will walk down the hall. You can walk, you can run, you can fly, you can crawl, you can be happy, you can be sad, you can look in every doorway along the way, you can ignore them all, you can go upside down, backwards, inside out, whatever way you wish to do it. That's your free will exploring the theme you set up for yourself. So your physical life is a combination of a so-called theme or destiny and free will in terms of how you explore it.
And so I know I have a question about this. So when we experience going down our hallway, and you've brought up the idea of surrendering to your flow, what exactly are you describing that we're surrendering to?
You are surrendering to the vibrational state of the theme itself. In other words, you're in total acceptance of who you are as the theme.
So when you make the choice to surrender to the way your life is unfolding, and to trust that it's unfolding in a beneficial way to you, even if it's not exactly what you prefer,
So this is where the free will and the destiny merge. In other words, you are presented with certain things in that hallway, because that's the definition of that hallway. That's the definition of the challenges that expose the theme, reveal the theme. But the idea is that you still get to decide how you will engage with that. So the surrendering to it and the acceptance of your true self is the idea of engaging with the theme in a positive and constructive way. Again, this is the fourth part of the formula. Choose to remain in a positive state because you understand that no matter what happens, even if you recognize it neutrally as something you don't prefer, still it's got to be there for a reason. It's got to be part of the exploration of your theme. And if you engage that exploration of something you don't prefer from a positive point of view, from a positive state of being, you'll be able to go with a flow of using it and getting a benefit from it in a way that will serve you, because you know it's got to be there for a reason that could serve you, if only you will stay in the positive state that will allow you to experience how it could be used to a positive effect in your life. Because again, remember, it comes down to not mattering really what it is that happens, but mattering what you do with what happens. So staying in a positive state will allow you to get a benefit out of what happens, even if you don't prefer it. Whereas going into a negative state will only allow you to feel blocked by what happened instead of being more capable of using it to your advantage. Because remember, even on the simplest level, experiencing something you don't prefer, if you stay in a positive state, will allow you to recognize, if nothing else, that you've been given an opportunity to see what you don't prefer so that you can understand what you do prefer more clearly by contrast. And that's a positive way to use what you don't prefer. And when you use it up, when you learn the lesson of why it's there from a positive point of view, most likely it will fade away because it has now served its purpose and you can continue to move forward. Whereas if you give it a negative meaning, this doesn't belong in my life, this is not what I wanted, something is wrong, then all you're doing is creating a vibration that sticks you firmly right there in that position in the hallway until you get the point of why it happened to begin with and what you can learn from it and how it can benefit you by being there.
So even if you experience some form of loss, if you have the basic understanding that everything happens for a positive reason, and you allow
Everything can be used
in a
in a
positive
positive
way.
way. I just said it's there for a reason.
Right.
It's up to you to determine what that reason is.
And then that allows you to stay in touch with your own flow and
Yes.
see how that can be a beneficial experience, even if you didn't enjoy having it initially.
Well, again, it's not about not enjoying it. It's about recognizing that it can be used to your benefit. And if you recognize that more quickly and more quickly and more quickly, then you simply come from a neutral, balanced state, and you can actually then start to enjoy anything that happens, even if it's what you don't prefer, because you will know you can use it in a way that you would enjoy to.
And it really can show you that something better can happen. Like it will
Yes.
bring up things like that. Like,
Yes.
oh, well, this was going to be the best thing that, and actually by trusting that if negative synchronicity is serving you,
Yes.
by not allowing you to have a certain experience that you thought you wanted.
Correct.
Then
it's guiding you through the idea of not only giving you opportunities you can act on, but guiding you by preventing you from being able to act on certain things that is simply not your path right now.
And then your trust in the unfoldment of your life and how your flow goes will make all the difference in the world as you're experiencing these lessons. So
and as you become used to this and it becomes your first nature, then it even goes beyond the idea of trust. You simply understand and know how things work. Then it's not a matter even of having to have trust in it. You simply understand that that's the way it works.
Okay, and then let's see if there's one last one to ask.
Yes.
You often say that don't invalidate what you don't prefer.
Yes, because that sticks you to it.
So when you
In other
say,
words, you're giving it energy. You're feeding it by invalidating it, because invalidation is a negative energy, and therefore it compounds the negative energy of what you don't prefer.
so when you say the word invalidate, can you express what invalidation is? Like,
Well, in a sense, it's what we just talked about. It's sort of another way of saying, this does not belong here. This has no value to me. So invalidation is discounting the value, discounting what's happening in your life as if it didn't belong. And therefore, all you're doing is reinforcing your inability to use it in a way that positively serves you.
so, and I guess lastly,
It's like saying, I see a series of stepping stones ahead of me,
Mhm.
but one of them is a color I don't like. I don't prefer it. So I'm going to invalidate it. I'm going to say that stone has absolutely no value whatsoever. It does not belong on the path. So get rid of it. Now you have no way to step from that stone to the next one. You have literally caused yourself to invalidate your path, to remove the ability to step forward by discounting the reason that that stone, that different stone, is there, instead of using it to your advantage, saying, well, that stone is different because there must be something different I need to look at here. There must be something different I need to learn here that would actually help me then go on to the next stone. But if I invalidate it and remove it from the path, then there's too big of a gap for me to cross. There's no stone for me to step from to the next stone beyond.
And so coming back to the monologue in the beginning, essentially what you're explaining to us is how to stay in the moment
Yes.
and appreciate whatever is being generated in that moment,
Yes.
and how to be in the state where you're not invalidating what is happening.
Yes, because then you cannot use it to move forward if you invalidate it. If you say it's worthless, it has no value, it doesn't belong here, how can you use it to keep moving? You can't.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You are also welcome.
Yeah, we really appreciate all your sharing, all the information that you give us, and giving us this boost to be able to shift to a new paradigm where we can experience physical reality in a much more positive way.
Yes, well, it is our passion and our pleasure to do so. And of course, the choice is completely up to you. So we thank you for that, our unconditional love to you all. And as another expression of our unconditional love and support, please now allow yourselves, if you wish, to enjoy the following meditation.
Before, that we are actually spirit dreaming, and that your reality, the way you experience reality, is being awake kind of within the dream.
Yes.
What does it mean to actually wake up from the dream? What is true reality?
To die, to go into spirit fully, not experience the idea directly of what you call physical reality.
Okay, so where's the line where the dream starts and the true reality begins? It's really just the physicality?
It's just the frequency that you're operating at. 333 cycles per second, 333,000 cycles per second is the vibrational borderline between non-physical and physical reality. So when you simply alter a pattern of energy within your consciousness in a certain way from spirit, then you direct a portion or a focus of your consciousness in a way that experiences a dream called physical reality. So you have to go in that particular portion of your consciousness lower than 333,000 cycles per second.
So there's no such thing as still being in the dream as a non-physical?
Well, yes, in a sense, because every level within all that is another type of dream. But we simply assume you were referring to the physical version.
No, I want to know, is there an actual waking up completely at some level of the all that is, or would that be going back into the one, which you said you can't really do?
Correct. So in a sense, it's always the one or the portion of the one that is capable of being aware of itself And therefore it is always, in a sense, a type of a dream, but that's what reality is.
Okay.
Because it's all just happening within the idea of consciousness, of self-awareness.
I see. So maybe the dream itself is the idea that there's another, because that's
Correct.
not true.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
So yes,
And-
the dream is the one's idea that there is another. That's what creates self-awareness, is that the self is defined by the fact that there's something that appears to be other than self.
Okay.
That is the dream, because there is nothing other than self. But you can have the dream experience that there is.
Okay. And so the process of awakening, within that, there's always going to be the positive and the negative.
And
correct?
the center point.
And the center point.
And remember that the center point, being a point of balance, in a sense, tips the scale slightly toward the positive. Because in a point of balance, you still have the freedom to choose what you prefer, and that's a positive state of being.
Right. So is there always going to be consciousness inhabiting all of those frames, all of those options?
Well, it's existence itself, yes. So it can't cease to exist. Consciousness is simply the expression of existence being self-aware. Existence can't stop existing. That's its natural quality, is to be. And it can't go anywhere because there's nowhere for it to go, because by definition, non-existence doesn't exist. That's its quality, to not be. So that which is cannot become that which is not.
So like just at a practical, in an example, let's say that I am a version of myself that is like fighting with my father.
Yes.
And then I make a choice to mend things and make a more positive choice.
Yes.
Mending things with my father.
Yes.
Let's say there's another version of me that continues to fight with my father.
Yes, in a sense, but that's not where you're focused anymore. In terms
Okay.
of the journey that your particular reflection is experiencing. You've chosen a different set of frames in the film strip, even though the
Right.
other film strip still exists.
And there's a consciousness inhabiting. There will always be some.
There will always be consciousness in everything, because everything is consciousness.
I see.
Everything is made of consciousness.
So it's always going to be beneficial to all that is to have some consciousness in that negative experience. Quote
It is what it is. In that sense, it can't be anything else. It is what it is, and everything that it is what it needs to be. Because that's what it is. Otherwise, it would be something different.
Okay.
So needs all of it in order to be what it is. Just like you need all the puzzle pieces in order to form the whole picture. Without one piece, there's no whole picture.
And so let's say, so then I make that choice to go into these other set of frames that are
Yes.
more positive.
Which you are doing constantly anyway.
Right. So what happens to the consciousness that was just inhabiting that frame? Like, do I kick another consciousness out?
No. You have to sort of look at this from a multidimensional perspective. A shift of focus of a level of consciousness is happening on a certain level. The idea of the consciousness having the experience is on a different level. So you can, from a higher level of consciousness, shift your focus, but that doesn't change the fact that, by definition, a certain, let's just say, lower level of consciousness is simply constantly in that frame. You don't destroy the frame just because you've shifted your attention to another frame. Whatever's going on in that frame, whatever that frame represents, is still that frame and always will be. And that's a different level of experience and consciousness than the level that you're shifting your focus from. So just because you have looked at one frame and sort of contemplated what's going on in that frame, and then shifted your focus to another frame, you're shifting from a different level than what that frame represents as its own symbol of an experience. That never changes. It's made of consciousness, but that never changes what it is, because that's what it is that symbol, that expression of consciousness. But you, from another level, have the ability to take your focus off that frame and shift it to another frame. And shifting your attention to another frame changes nothing about the frame you were focused on before. It is what it is, as another level or expression of consciousness. But you have a level of consciousness that experiences the idea of flexibility, of shift, of change. That's a different level of consciousness you're coming from than the level of consciousness that is used to create the frame.
And so from that perspective, I know that reincarnation doesn't exist in that way, but
Yes.
why wouldn't my consciousness then focus as another person?
Because when you're experiencing things from a certain framework of time, you need that sense of continuity to create the story of a before, a middle, and an after. That's just the way you perceive things from that level of experience.
I see. But eventually, like, I'm not perpetually forever experiencing myself as this identity. Eventually I'll move on, right?
Again, you create the idea of moving on, yes.
I don't want to be stuck forever as this person. All right.
You're not stuck anywhere at any time for any reason whatsoever. I would not necessarily encourage you to label the idea as being stuck. Otherwise, that's how you'll experience it.
Okay. Well, yeah, because billions of times per second, I'm literally...
Exactly. You're always changing. The very idea of the experience that you call change happens because you're constantly shifting your focus. Otherwise, you wouldn't experience any change at all.
Yes?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Good day. Appreciation to you as well.
Thank you. My question is on the balanced relationship between action and synchronicity. As example, I just left my job, but it took me longer than expected, and I was doubting because it happened by choice and not by synchronicity, as if I needed still a lesson to learn.
All right. First of all, it always happens by synchronicity because everything happens by synchronicity. So there's nothing that doesn't happen by synchronicity. It's just that you're not clear about the fact that there are two kinds of synchronicity. The first kind, most of you are familiar with. That's the one you normally talk about. The synchronicity of something being brought to you that's an opportunity to act on. But the other kind of synchronicity is the kind of synchronicity that actually prevents you from acting on things that are not appropriate for you to act on at that particular moment. And that's why it's always synchronicity. Because synchronicity is not only, just to use a simplistic analogy, is not only the gas pedal saying go ahead, it's also the brake saying no, you can't go this way right now. You need to stay where you are, or you need to look for some other avenue that is now something you are able to do, because you're not able to do this right now. So the balance between the idea of the synchronicity that says take this action and the synchronicity that says do not act in this direction is your guiding principle in life. And that's why synchronicity is also an organizing principle, because it's really keeping you on the straight and narrow by saying yes, no, no, yes, no, no, yes, no. It's really allowing you to move through a particular path that is you, by not only allowing you to move forward, but also preventing you to move forward in certain ways that are not appropriate. Does this help?
Yes, but so also my thoughts and because I could have done it like months before, but I didn't.
Why?
But there was not.
Why didn't you?
Because I thought it wasn't the right moment.
Then you are making your decisions, and you have to decide whether your decisions are being made for reasons that are in alignment with your truth or reasons that are out of alignment with your truth. And that's why it's so crucial to get in touch with your belief systems at any given moment, because it's always about the choices you make, but perhaps even more deeply, it's about why you make those choices. So you have to be in touch with your belief systems to understand the reason why you make the choices that you do. Nevertheless, the situation and the circumstance is still brought to you through some form of synchronicity.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
That's why, again, we reinforce and encourage the idea that part of the formula that we offer and encourage all of you to use is based on primarily you understanding what the beliefs are that you're holding on to as being true for you in every situation. So the synchronicity will always bring you a circumstance that is designed to reveal to you what you believe to be true, so you can decide whether or not you want to continue to hold on to that belief or let it go. That's the first thing the higher mind and synchronicity does in bringing you into the experience of a particular situation. Does it represent who you prefer to be? Are you willing to take the action that is representative of who you prefer to be? Or are you not willing to take that action, and why or why not? That's the key. Always you have to know the reason for the choices that you make, and then you will be clear and transparent within yourself about what it is you're choosing to do. Yes?
Okay. Yes.
All right.
And I have also about belief systems.
Yes.
When my self-esteem is particularly creative, I arrive to ask myself if it is my lack not being able to interact with a version of my spouse which is more conscious and less reactive in order to have a more harmonious relationship.
Well, again, the idea is for you to determine clearly within yourself what is and isn't representative of the vibrations in your life you prefer to interact with. So you have to, again, make those decisions about why you are experiencing what you're experiencing, not that it's a one-to-one reflection, but the idea of why you might be willing to continue on something that isn't vibrationally compatible with you. Because you are hoping that somebody else will change?
Yeah, no, I understand it. I think my struggle is that I feel...
Your challenge. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't make it a struggle right from the get-go.
Yes.
It's just a challenge. It's something for you to know more about who you really are. So what is your challenge?
To divide my soul from my 3D experience.
Divide your soul?
Yeah, in the sense that I feel a deep, profound love for him.
Yes.
The physical experience,
yes,
is not harmonious. So I find it difficult to accept that I can't reflect this love in my physical experience.
All right, so you are being insistent on the conditions as a measure of whether or not you are who you prefer to be. That's insistence. And I told you that the third part of the formula is you can't assume or insist on anything. You can't put conditions on the idea of your passion. And if you truly love someone, you will then be honest with them in who you actually are in the relationship. And sometimes you have to really understand how important it is to show them the consequences of who you are. So sometimes a demonstration of your love may actually be leaving the relationship to show them that it's not the vibration you prefer. It's not the reflection you prefer. Then you're giving them an opportunity to decide for themselves whether or not they want to maintain that relationship and match your vibration, or whether they wish to continue their vibration and find whatever relationship actually works for them while you go and find the relationship that works for you. That's the most loving thing to do. Love doesn't insist that the other person may change to give you the reflection you think you should be getting from them. That's insistence and placing conditions on them, and that's not love. Does that help?
Yes. Yeah.
So watch what you're defining as love. Because if you really love someone, you will let them be who they truly prefer to be. You can always give them the choice, the opportunity to match your frequency in a way that you prefer. But remember, even if they do choose to match your frequency, it's not the same person anymore anyway. So what do you care that it doesn't really look like the same person? Don't go by surface appearance. If they decided to change and become more compatible with your vibration, it wouldn't be the same person anyway, no matter how you think they look on the surface. So don't insist that it has to be the same person that gives you the reflection in life that you prefer, because it never would be the same person no matter how they look anyhow. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
All right. Does that help you?
Yes.
All right.